Hello, my name is Andrew Perez, and I'm with Turbo Workforce. Today, we're taking over CCA show. Vince Perry, we got a kidnap. Well, I'm not gonna tell you where he's at. You're not gonna find out either. But we're gonna get right on it in three, two, one. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Perez. I'm with Turbo Workforce, and today we have a very important lesson: how to properly train your staff. Are you a public adjuster? Are you an attorney? Are you dealing with insurance claims, period? You need to make sure 100% you're properly training your staff. I'm going to make this a quick one, okay? So I'm going to give you some details and I'm going to give you a perspective of some of the things that you want to take into consideration when you're doing this. So let's go to it. We have different steps that we take when we put this in perspective in general, right? So when it comes to training your staff, one of the biggest things you have to take into consideration is the intake process. So step number one, intake. Once you acquire a claim, once you acquire whatever it is that you're looking for to acquire, you have to make sure you have a good intake process because it will help you determine, it will help you make decisions as the process is moving along so you can actually be profitable and maintain a good cash flow. Now, this is the key through this whole thing that we're going to talk about today, maintaining cash flow. This is how we properly train your staff, right? So in that sense, one of the things that we want to make sure of is that through this intake process, we ask some key questions to make sure we determine where we are at that point of the claim, at that point of that process specifically. So this usually can go two ways. I'll throw a couple of details here. Sometimes you have a brand new, fresh claim and you're starting from scratch. So you want to make sure you document everything that you can, obviously getting your contract, getting the scope and everything ready. The other one that could possibly happen in this situation is when you have a claim that it's already been filed and you're actually dealing with a supplemental claim at that point. So with the supplemental, you're pretty much going to gather all of the same things that you did for your intake process. The one extra thing you're going to need is the prior estimate or the prior payment. So that's one of the important things when you're dealing with a supplemental. So that way, again, you get your intake process, you take as much information as you can so you know what to do next. And what's next? That's step number two. All right. So with step number two, we're able to identify what's going on through the building of the estimate. Now, this is something that you definitely want to make sure you have a workflow for. Whether you do this through a third party, whether you do this yourself internally at the office, if you don't have a workflow for this client, for this part of the process, you're going to be in trouble. There's literally a 60-day deadline for you to be able to turn this in, all right? I have a 2-week deadline to turn this in, all right? So usually max, it will take you like 2 weeks if you have a workflow established. And again, it doesn't matter if you're getting it from a third party or you're doing it yourself. You want to make sure you have that within a 2-week period process here. Now, when it comes to the staff itself, we want to make sure that the staff is fully trained on that part of the process in itself, but at the same time, making sure that they know how to follow up with that estimate process itself. Is the estimate coming back? Is it ready? Is it at the amount? Does it have the right line items? Does the general look crazy? Are the measurements right? That's part of that workflow, that staff training that you have to do to make sure that everything is being pinpointed, because from there on, there's almost no turning back, and that's when we go to really step three. Now, in step three, we start negotiating. Now we have your staff being trained to negotiate. Now, key point here, if you're not a licensed public adjuster, you cannot negotiate. All right. Now, we want to discuss sometimes line items, and that's specifically not negotiating. We're just literally discussing what the price could be for certain line items and what a general contractor might think or what other people in the industry might think. So that's just a conversation. Right?
Additional living expenses is one of the most difficult parts of an insurance claim. And the reason is it's very high pressure. And as a public adjuster or contractor, you're already dealing with the negotiating of the build back process. You don't want to have to deal with ALE as well. Black Diamond Housing Services does all of that. They don't even charge the client. They bill it directly to the insurance company. It's all covered under the ALE coverage. So you need to call Black Diamond if you have a house that has been severely lost, whether it's like severe mold, severe water, fire, or anything like that, where they need a place to stay. Call Black Diamond Housing Services and they'll be able to take care of your client from beginning to end.
So you want to make sure you train your staff into being able to have these conversations as if they were a public adjuster, you know, not to be the public adjuster, not to represent the public adjuster, but to be able to have the knowledge, to be able to have this conversation. And you want to have that first in place because that's going to maintain your cash flow. Being able to push these claims and negotiating in a proper way, it's going to help us do that. It's going to help you do that. You know, once you have that, some of these things established from the first three steps, and if you need that sworn proof of loss there, you definitely want to make sure you get it in there. But once you're able to go through these steps, then the only decision making is on the way. And decision making for the next step that we're going to talk about, and this will be step 4, it's, do we want to move into a mediation process at this point? Is this something that needs to go through an appraisal process at this point? Or is this something that needs to go through litigation? Is the client requesting for an attorney because they just desperate, right?
Everybody needs an attorney on their side. So whether you're a public adjuster or contractor or anyone else in the insurance claims business, make sure that you have an attorney that you could rely on, that you can go to for questions whenever you need it. That guy for me for the last 12 years has been David Farber. David Farber is the owner of the Farber Law Firm, and he has been there for me from the beginning of my career until now. And I would love for him to be able to help you as well. So make sure you call him at this number here and visit his website so you can learn more about the amazing David Farber of the Farber Law Firm.
So that's something to determine right there on step number 4. And depending on the steps that depending on the decision that you make on this step, you're gonna be able to identify. And when it comes to your staff, one of the main things you want to train them in this part of the package, in this part of the process here, is how to deal with a mediation in the sense of how to file a mediation in. If you've never filed a mediation before, it's not just a phone call. I'll tell you that right now. All right. It's forms that you have to fill out, it's things that you have to send in, and you have to train your staff to be able to make sure that they can do this in a manner that it doesn't stop your flow, that it doesn't mess up what you have going on in the office. Because once one claim gets trapped into any part of the process, you're going to have a backlog, and we don't allow backlogs around here. No backlogs allowed. All right. So that's exactly one thing that I want to make sure that you have for your staff. No backlogs allowed. All right. So once you have the mediation process, and once you understand, and once your staff understands how to file the mediation process, there's a follow up behind that. All right. That's a little bit more detail on that process specifically, but you do want to make sure that your staff is following up with this mediation request, and specifically now when the mediator gets assigned. When it comes to this part, it's very fun. Sometimes we get to settle it right here, sometimes not. You never know, right? But it's good to make sure that your staff understands where it starts and where it ends, because depending on where it ends, you might either have to be waiting for a release and start your account receivable process, or you might have to take it to the PA assigned or to whoever you have assigned dealing with the claim to make a decision. Does this need to go through appraisal, or is the client requesting to go through litigation at this point? So staff training is key. There's no question about it. Your staff needs to know everything that happens through each of the steps that I just mentioned to you right now. Whatever process they're not trained on, this is not going to go right for you. And we want this to go right for you. That's why we're providing value. That's why we're giving you information so you're aware. I could tell you for myself that this is not information that I was given when I first started in the industry. You know, so it's very important to take all these notes and make sure that you are training your staff properly, because that's how you are going to become successful in this business. So take advantage of it and run with it.
I had been looking for an accountant for years, and I was unable to find anybody that I liked, that I worked with, and was able to do what I needed to be done to my taxes and to my accountant. Jeremy David at Noble Wealth has been a godsend to me, my family, and my company. We have saved so much money in taxes I can't even begin to describe, and he knows what he's doing. You need to call Jeremy at Noble Wealth and get yourself the right accountant, because he's the man who's going to help you save on taxes. Because ultimately, you don't want to be making money, especially if you're self-employed, and having it all go to the IRS. Call Jeremy, call Noble Wealth, and they will help you tremendously with the entire accounting process and your tax situation from A to Z.
I really want to thank Vince for being able to put this together. He's kidnapped, so you know.
I'm here. I'm over here. I'm here.
So no, I'm really grateful. Super amazing times here, being able to provide some value for some of the things that I've been able to experience through the industry. You know, you can come and visit us. turboworkforce.com is our website. You can come ask me questions. You can set up an appointment to talk to me. whatever it is that you're looking for to do in your business, whether you're a small business, whether you're a large business, we deal with all around, only at a project based level, or actually getting you plugged in with a full team so your process is something that is smooth and you don't have to worry about it. So turboworkforce.com, I'll be waiting for you there.
Help! Help! Save me! Help!
Save me, sir. Close.